We now take a look at the newly signed Electoral Amendment Act. The Act was introduced in Parliament for the first time on the 10th of January 2022. It passed through all legislative processes before being signed into law yesterday. SABC News specialist researcher Maswele Ralebona is joining us in studio to help us better understand the Electoral Amendment Act. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. And of course, numerous delays and Parliament has had to go to the Constitutional Court, first of all, to try and get an extension. Let's start there first.
Yes, let's take it back where it all started, when the Constitutional Court, when New Nation Movement, that was led by Maswele then, took the matter to court to challenge the Electoral Act of 1998. And the Constitutional Court in June 2020, during the height of COVID, found that the Electoral Act of 1998 was unconstitutional and invalid. As a result, the Constitutional Court gave Parliament 24 months to come up with a new Electoral Act, of which they were amending the one from 1998, which means the one that we have now is an Electoral Amendment Act of 2023, based on the Government Gazette. So after that, the Parliament missed the first deadline. They were given 24 months. They missed the deadline in 2022, and then they asked for extension, of which they were given until December. They missed the extension again. They asked, and they were given until February. And before the 28th of February 2023, Parliament had done everything and sent the bill to President so that the President can sign it into law. And yesterday we know what happened. The President finally signed the bill into law, and this is where we are now. What it means now is that before, it required individuals who wish to contest the national and provincial elections to join political parties before they can be candidates to the elections. Now that the new amendment allows independent candidates in the national and provincial elections, like we have in the local government elections. Now we will have independent candidates in the provincial and national elections.
And of course, what the court also did is that it left it all up to Parliament to decide the formula that will be used, and also whether they want to approach the constituency-based approach, or now we see the Act calls it the regional approach. But the regional approach when it comes to only independent candidates. Tell us about that, and also the quotas that they need to reach before they are allowed to contest the elections.
So what it now means again, Aldrin, is that all these independent candidates, or anyone who will want to say, who will stand up and say, I want to contest the elections, will need to meet a certain threshold. If you want to, for example, if you are from the Eastern Cape and you want to contest the national elections based in that province, you will need to get the threshold. The quota there is about 77,000 votes, but based on the current, that is based on the current voters' roll. But the Act says you will need only 15% of signatures, people who are endorsing your candidature, to say go and contest the elections.
So wait, is this based on the electoral roll, not necessarily the people who have turned out to vote? Because we know there's a discrepancy there, that you may have a voters' roll that has about 2 million people on it. However, though, the people who actually participate in the election could sometimes be half of that.
The IEC can only work, and even the Act can only work based on the voters' roll. That's why you see these quotas. For example, in the past elections, we've seen parties that went to Parliament with, after receiving about 40 plus votes, which means they didn't meet the quota based on the voters' roll. But the fact that the turnout allows them to occupy seats in Parliament.
Now, how would it work with the independent candidates when they don't meet the threshold to get a seat in Parliament? What happens to their votes?
If you don't, of course, firstly you need to get the 15% of the signatures, and if you don't, the law applies the same to a political party and the independent. If you don't meet the threshold to get a seat in Parliament, of course you are out, and you lose even the deposit that you made to the IEC to contest the elections.
But with this one, you have half of the seats of the National Assembly, being 200, being allocated to just independent candidates, but then political parties are allowed to contest the entire House.
That's where we're finding those who didn't like the bill after it was passed, they come in now and say, we are taking this matter to court because it's not fair to independent candidates. They want a system that says all the seats are open to everyone who wants to contest. But you also have political parties in parliament. Remember, Aldrin, this matter was taken to court by those who were outside political parties. And political parties themselves, I can talk of the ANC, the EFF, they didn't really support this bill. That's why they like the way it is now. They voted for what it reflects now, despite NGOs and other interested parties saying, please reject. There was a campaign waged against this bill by NGOs saying, reject this bill. But ANC, for example, EFF, Al-Jama are some of the parties that voted for this bill to be like it is. Malema even spoke, Julius Malema from the EFF even spoke about democratic centralism and also the fact that when you are a lone member in parliament, you don't really get things done because numbers matter in parliament. And says, imagine when you are alone in parliament but you come up with an idea and they say, let's vote. Who are you going to vote with?
How is this system different to the local government election system? Because with that one as well, we have independent candidates that can contest the elections, but it's also ward based.
Yes, in the local government elections, we have two systems. It's a first past the post and the proportional system in that elections. Proportional systems works for PR. It's called PR seat, and then there's a ward seat, which is a first past the post, where the winner takes all. When in that system, when the candidate or the winner decide to resign, there will be by-elections for that particular seat. But this current system does not propose for by-elections to take place.
What's the solution then to that empty seat? If the independent candidate who may be in parliament passes on, or even in a provincial legislature, how do they fill that seat?
The seat will be allocated to another political party.
So it's the political parties again?
Political parties will always win.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Mr. Maswele. Thank you so much for making time for us. One of our senior researchers here at the SABC. What do you make of this new Electoral Act? And do you think that it speaks to the fundamentals that were pushed by the New Nation movement in that court case that was brought before the Constitutional Court? The agenda continues after this.